Would you be the jerk for telling your daughter they're a disappointment? We'll get into that in a bit, but first, am I the jerk for saying not again and not being happy for my daughter's pregnancy? My daughter got pregnant the second year into college. It was not a good time. My husband and I stepped up so she could finish college, which she did. She just graduated and just got a job. The problem is, at the moment, she cannot afford childcare or rent since her job kinda sucks. We were hoping she would be moving out by the end of the year. She told us today that she's pregnant again. When she told us, I said, not again. She asked if I was happy for her, and I told her no, that we will not look after another kid, and we already wanted her to find her own place by the end of the year or next summer at the latest. She is ticked at us, and we got into an argument. She thinks we're jerks. I mean, if somebody says that they're pregnant, I don't think saying not again is a great response to them, regardless of how you truly feel. But as far as not wanting to help out or have to carry any burden, I understand that, but she wasn't even asking for that. I think OP's feelings are pretty valid here. I feel like maybe they could have handled it a little bit better, but is it enough to say that they're the jerk? I don't think so. Also, hi, I'm Steven, and if you guys enjoy getting to decide whether or not all of these people are jerks, why not hit those like and subscribe buttons down below? That said, our next story is, am I the jerk for calling my mom out for not being fully honest about the reason she wants her husband to walk me down the aisle at my wedding? My wedding's coming up, and my mom has been campaigning hard for her husband, my stepdad, to be the person to walk me down the aisle. I already asked my paternal grandparents. My mom knew I was going to ask them and knew when I had, but she's not given up the desire for me to ask her husband. The other day, she told me that it would make the most sense, and she feels like he's the correct and most worthy person to walk me down the aisle. I called her out on that and said she should be more honest about why she wants him. The reason I know is because she knows her husband and my dad hated each other, and she believes I should have been loyal to her husband over my dad. She also believes I should have given all the loyalty I had to my dad to her husband after I lost my dad at the age of 7. Background: my parents broke up, never married, and my mom got married to her husband when I was 2. My dad and her husband hated each other. I was always aware of the fact, but it became especially bitter for me when I was 6 and my dad was diagnosed with cancer. I don't remember a lot from that time, but I do remember my mom's husband showing up to see my dad when he was in the hospital, and I remember him yelling at my dad. I know prior to that the two were as bad as each other and the animosity was mutual. When my dad died, I didn't automatically start to care more or feel closer to her husband. He did try, and I think part of his hatred for my dad was I was such a daddy's girl and never looked at him being in my life as having two. I spent equal time with both my parents when dad was alive. I never got closer to my mom's husband. He was my mom's husband and my half-sibling's dad, but even though I don't remember a time where I didn't know him, I never saw him as my dad. He always hated my dad too. I heard him grumble about him over the years. Even saw him spit near a photo of my dad once. Eventually, he gave up trying and decided I wasn't worth his time, which I felt was better for everyone. But my mom hates it. She hates that he's just her husband and I haven't embraced him as my dad. One time she said it can be so hurtful to lose to a dead man and be rejected in favor of a dead man. I asked what she meant by that, and she told me I never picked her husband over my dad, and I never let him feel like he won against him in one thing. I told her he had. He was still alive while my dad was gone. I think my mom still wants that win for her husband, especially when his hatred for my dad still burns strong. I believe my paternal grandparents are the right people to walk me. I've been close to them my entire life. My mom is mad that I called her out and tried to make her be honest. She said she wasn't lying and I was being rude. Am I the jerk? I can't blame OP and I don't think they're the jerk. I just think in a situation where you have a step-parent, you gotta understand that for some kids, you'll never be who their original parent was. And the sooner you embrace that and be a parent for them beyond just titles and whatnot, the sooner you'd have a good relationship. Obviously, the problem was they forced this so hard and were insecure of a man that wasn't there to even compete with them. This next story is, am I the jerk for telling my son it's absurd that he thinks we'll be at his wedding? Make this clear, we didn't think it would be in France since he changed wedding ideas so many times. Also, we thought it would be 2024 fall. January came out of nowhere. This is about my oldest. He always wanted to travel the world, and he just told us that he'll have his wedding in France. We thought he was joking when it first happened because he said so many destinations at this point. I also thought it would be in a year at least, but the invites came today. It's in 4 months in France. He's looking to do a mini trip and apparently was able to book a small church in France for the whole thing. I told him it's absurd that he thinks we would be able to go. I don't have the PTO, already used most of it this year. Our youngest are in school and we don't have the money to have 5, wife and 3 minor kids. People take plane trips to France and I don't think my wife even has a passport. We got in a huge argument about it, so I want to know if we're the jerks on this. Yeah, I think giving just a little over 3 months leeway to figure out if you can fly out for a wedding in a whole different country is understandably not going to work out for a lot of people, and I think it's understandable that it's just not feasible for OP. It's not even personal, it's just you can't make it. Our next story is, am I the jerk for holding back when my sister-in-law and her husband asked me about fostering when they already have kids? My wife's sister and her husband have been discussing the possibility of becoming foster parents. They have 3 of their own kids already, and sister-in-law's husband is far more eager than my sister-in-law is. Sister-in-law is perfectly aware of the fact that my parents fostered when my sister and I were young, that our relationship with our parents is incredibly bad today, and she wanted her and her husband to sit with me and discuss things from the POV of the kid who was already there. She has some worries about her own kids and how they could still give them a good life while helping other kids. Sister-in-law's husband told me before the talk that I could sugarcoat some stuff and not go into too many details. Most of my sister-in-law's questions were around how our parents juggled 2 kids of their own with any number of foster kids present. She wanted to know about the emotional impact. Everything. Background: I was 7 and my sister was 5 when our parents sat us down and said they were going to be helping other kids and giving them a home. They said some would be temporary, but some might be permanent. It took 18 months for them to get their first foster child. We had to be interviewed and a bunch of stuff happened before. Quickly, my parents went from the 2 of us and adding another child to having 6 kids in the home. My parents struggled to juggle everything and the ball was dropped on us. My sister suffered a lot more than me for it. At 19, she was diagnosed with dyslexia and dyscalculia, and that was after years of the school noticing but our parents not doing anything. She got caught in the middle of the teachers giving her notes to give our parents and growing frustrated when our parents wouldn't respond or agree to meetings. While our parents would say they would go, they would forget, mom would ask to be reminded and then become annoyed at being pestered about it. My sister gave up after more than a year of feeling like she was in trouble everywhere. She also never finished high school because her grades were so bad. I have asthma and sometimes my needs with that weren't met the best. My sister tried to help by taking care of some of the dust for me, but it was hard sometimes. When some of the foster kids had a lot of dust in their things they would bring to our house, and I was exposed to them. Our parents would always say the house was clean or would say a little dust wouldn't be too bad, but my asthma is more dust sensitive. The relationship with my parents was almost entirely broken down by the time we hit our teens. It never recovered. My sister-in-law and her husband heard a lot of those details and more in some of my answers. I explained some can make it work, but if you can't and your bio kids are the ones the ball is dropped on, the damage can't always be reversed. My sister-in-law's husband accused me of trying to turn them off fostering and said I was preying on sister-in-law's fears. He said I had no reason to give out so much information. Am I the jerk? Yeah, I don't think OB's the jerk here. I think it's a very clear cautionary tale of what they experienced. And honestly, shame on the sister-in-law's husband for being so upset that OP shared their experience. They asked and OP was an open book. Sorry that OP shared the truth of what they experienced growing up. If they only wanted to hear a certain answer and hear about how it was sunshine and rainbows, they probably should not have asked. Our next story is, am I the jerk for not having much of a reaction to my daughter coming out and introducing us to her partner? My daughter is 23 and she requested dinner with us because she had some important things to tell us. Being my wife and I, she introduced us and came out. My wife was emotional, gave her a big hug, and told her how proud she was. I, on the other hand, did not react to her coming out. I honestly didn't care about that part. I was honest her partner was cool and she was very interesting. My wife told me I was rude for ignoring our daughter's announcement. I told my wife that I didn't care who she was attracted to at all. All I cared about was if she was happy. I tried to explain that I didn't care about that stuff. People like who they like. I don't need labels for that. Love is love. She said my view is slightly homophobic because it shows I'm not acknowledging a different view. I don't see it that way. Am I the jerk? Should I apologize to my daughter and her partner? Edit, for added context, I didn't treat her situation as any different from her brother's. I took the time to get to know the person they were with. My wife feels I should have treated it differently because they're different situations. Ignoring that fact does not help. Update, thanks for the input. Everyone's right, I should have just asked my daughter. I'll see if she's free tomorrow for some coffee and have a chat with her. I'm sure my wife's words just got to me, but only one way to find out, right? Update, since it always bothered me when people would ghost on threads without giving updates. Didn't have much time with my daughter, she had a prior engagement, but we had some coffee. We spoke about the evening. As I suspected, she didn't have an issue with it, and she also felt it was self-explanatory when she introduced her girlfriend. She corrected me since I said the partner they view each other as girlfriend and girlfriend. The coming out was more so her girlfriend's idea, and my daughter said she was going to reach out because while she had no issues with my reactions, her girlfriend thought it was weird how I kind of brushed off the response and treated this situation as if they were a straight couple. My daughter did try to explain this is just the person I am, explained how she preferred my non-reaction versus making it a big deal. She told the story of how she came to me first when she had her first period because she knew my wife would make a huge fuss over simple biology. I told her I made an Am I the Jerk post and we laughed over some of the comments. We're going to arrange another date, and this time we'll have more of a special event for the sake of her girlfriend, since she did feel slightly offended by treating as if they were a straight couple. My daughter had no issues overall, but I'll correct course. She was slightly disappointed I didn't make a dad joke about her coming out. I did express that my love for her would never change, and I told her I hoped that she didn't wait so long because she thought I would think differently. She just told me I never told you because it wasn't important to her. She knew I wouldn't care either way. I doubt I'll add more updates after this. I might check in every so often. I do appreciate all the varied viewpoints, and please understand, it was not my intention to marginalize the hardships LGBTQA+ face in this world. I know it may be a selfish and self-centered view, but I simply treat others how I wish and want to be treated. I do hope everyone has a wonderful week. So, before all of the updates, I looked at this and I thought to myself, I don't think OP did anything wrong. Honestly, if anything, the thing that was going wrong was the people coming out expecting some kind of greater reaction. All I'm saying is if you come out to your parents and they have a non-reaction and treat it as like a normal day, as in they accept it, not that they're trying to ignore it, I feel like you should be thrilled about that kind of a reaction. What's wrong with that? Something that just doesn't even faze them. If you get a, okay sweetie, I hope they treat you well, what's to be upset about that? This next story is, am I the jerk for telling my friend I'm not taking parenting advice from her? It's no secret that I'm not very strict with my kids, 2 boys, teenagers. They don't have a curfew, I don't get mad at them if they don't get good grades, I don't ground them, they have girlfriends that I allow them to see and have over. Yes, I know my older one has smoked weed, etc, etc. And guess what? The boys are typical teenage boys, but they are kind-hearted and sweet. We have a very good relationship and they're actually home more often than not. While we aren't strict parents, we also taught them to be kind, generous, and respectful, and it actually worked. Though we do have some bad days, but no one's perfect. I have a friend that's a great mom, but her and her daughter cannot stand each other right now. She complains about not being able to connect with her, but I don't say anything because every child is different, and I also don't have any daughters. My parenting style won't work on every child either. Anyways, this friend came over for lunch and both my boys were home. One of them had their girlfriend over and we were chatting for a bit before they both went upstairs to my son's room. My friend looked shocked and was like, "You're seriously going to let them be alone in his room?" I just said yeah, and she was like, "I could never do that." I just laughed along with her. Then my eldest comes downstairs and is all like, "Hey mom, I'm ordering food, you want anything?" I said no thanks and turned back to my friend, and she looked shocked again and was like, "But you cooked food." I told her he's old enough to eat whatever he wants and he's ordering food with his own money that he earned, so why would I stop him? It's not like it's a special occasion or I specifically cooked food for him. Besides, what I cooked was literally just fancy-looking grilled cheese sandwiches. My friend made a face and kept telling me what I'm doing isn't right and that I'm acting like their friend, not their parent, and even teenage boys need rules to become good people. I was trying to change the subject, but she wouldn't just let it go, so I said, "I'm sorry, but I'm not taking parenting advice from you." She went quiet before yelling at me and saying that I'm the weird one, not her, and that I can't be serious. I told her that she should probably leave, and she was like, "I should. I didn't know you were such a mean person. I pray your kids never talk to you again when they realize how much you failed them." Now, I'm not asking for judgment about my parenting. I know how many will react. But am I the jerk for what I specifically said to my friend about her parenting? I feel a little bad because it's a sore spot and she's not a bad parent at all. I really don't think OP's the jerk here. I mean, I think if you want to go about parenting, the fact that their kids are well-adjusted, reasonable, kind-hearted, I think it's evidence that they haven't failed them as a parent. And let's be real, reading this story, if you had to pick between OP and their friend, which one would you want to be your parent? True colors really came out when they said, "I pray your kids never talk to you again." What kind of crap is that? Our next story is, am I the jerk for insinuating a woman was fat? I, 35-year-old female, am currently 8 months pregnant. Something I've learned, fun news for anyone aspiring to follow down that same path, is that a lot of people, mostly older women, feel that if you get pregnant, they suddenly have the right to both comment and touch your body without permission, sometimes or often without warning, even total strangers. I'm an intrinsically private person, and while I don't take offense, it does encourage the inner snark to come out. I started showing around 5 or 6 months. I have 2 fibroids that are each quite large, think softball size. This causes me to look bigger and further along than I am. I've also not really gained elsewise. Yes, I'm aware it's a good problem to have, but I do look disproportionate, so it's really apparent even under hoodies. Fast forward to last weekend, I was in our local grocery store and an older, larger woman walks up to me and says something akin to, "Aw, honey, congrats, how far along are you?" Kindly, sure. So I smile, step out of touching distance, this is usually when they go in for a belly feel, and say, 8 months. She looked at me with a shocked expression and exclaims, "Oh, hun, no, I would have guessed any day now. You're huge." So I smiled sweetly back at her and said, "Aw, thanks, you too." You can imagine it didn't go over well. At one point she said something about it being medical, and so my one interjection was, "Hey, me too." But it didn't do much to diffuse the situation. Eventually she huffed away and I carried on my business. I don't really feel bad, but I am trying to gauge the jerkiness of my response. I strongly feel that there shouldn't be a stigma that pregnant women suddenly become public property, but acknowledge I could have once again been the bigger person. Or responded with, "Yeah, I have 2 tumors in there with her," which has historically gotten a sputtering apology from people too. Fibroids are benign tumors, so this is technically true, just aimed at making people uncomfortable. It is really hard for me to say that somebody who has had their fill of people commenting on them and touching them would be the jerk in this situation, but to be fair, from just what OP wrote alone, they only engaged them politely, they didn't touch them inappropriately, and they said something that honestly would probably be a common enough thing to say to somebody that is pregnant. I mean, I really don't think the lady was intending to call OP fat or anything, so I understand why OP acted the way they did, but in some way it still feels a bit unnecessary or misguided. Our next story is, am I the jerk for laughing when my son came home from meeting his girlfriend's parents because he chose to behave like he does at home? My son burps a lot while eating. I've tried telling him multiple times that it's rude. I've told him to slow down so he doesn't swallow air with his food. I've told him that it's disgusting. My wife will instantly jump in to defend him. She'll say that that's just the way he is and that it's not his fault. The thing is, he can control himself when I remind him. He just chooses not to. He just went on a date with his girlfriend last night and she tore him a new you-know-what. It was his first time meeting her parents since they live in another city. They went out to a fancy restaurant and he burped all the way through supper. He came home almost in tears from her chewing him out for behaving like a jerk in front of her family. I heard him telling my wife about it, and I laughed. She asked what was so funny, and I reminded them both that I had tried dozens, if not hundreds of times to teach him table manners, and he rejected them and she protected him. I said that now he's a grown man and he had to learn the hard way. They both think she overreacted and that I'm the jerk for being amused by his experience. Yeah, I don't think OP's the jerk. I mean, I guess I can understand enough being comfortable enough to do that when you're at home, but especially even when you're having family dinner, does anybody want to sit around and hear somebody else wolf down food and then belch every few minutes all throughout the meal? Unless you literally can't help it, it does just kind of come off as incredibly poor manners. Our next story is, am I the jerk for telling my aunt, I want money and some level of freedom when I'm older, not debt and obligations? So I'm 21-year-old female. My aunt in the story is married to my mom's brother, so aunt is Jazz, 35-year-old female, and uncle is Will, 37-year-old male. Jazz and Will have 5 children together, 14-year-old male, 12-year-old male, 9-year-old female, 7-year-old male, and 2-year-old male. Will works doing tarmac, and Jazz doesn't work. Since 14-year-old male was born, every other conversation with Jazz and Will is about one of 3 things. 1, they have no money to do anything. 2, they can't do anything together because a child always needs something. 3, they can't do anything they want because one of the kids always wants to do something different. That sounds miserable to me, so I decided I don't want children, or young children anyway. I've thought about adopting older children or teens in the future, but that wouldn't be for several years. Anyways, it's not a secret I don't want children, but I'm apparently at an age where relatives think I should be having them. Jazz is one of these relatives. Recently she was over and kept asking when I was going to have a child of my own, since she knew I'd make an excellent mother given a chance. And I told her I didn't want to have young children or babies. She asked why? I said because I don't. She asked why again. This cycle continued for a couple of minutes before I just had enough. I asked if she was really that desperate to know, and she said yes, so I told her, I want money and some level of freedom when I'm older, not debt and obligations. She went to the toilet almost immediately after I finished talking, and I didn't see her the rest of the day. I got a text later from Jazz telling me I didn't have to attack her and her lifestyle like that I could have just said that I didn't want children and leave it at that, but that she now didn't want me around my cousins until I apologized to her. I've left her on red. I don't want to apologize, but I didn't mean to hurt her with what I said, so I'm kinda conflicted. I don't think OP's the jerk because they never said anything that was targeting. They never said anything that was meant to call them out. They didn't say, oh, I don't want children because I don't want to end up like you. They just expressed why they literally don't want to have children. Sorry that it overlaps with your experience. This next story is, am I the jerk for telling my daughter she's a disappointment? I have 2 daughters, 23-year-old female and 20-year-old female. They're both so beautiful and smart, and I really love them both. I always wanted them to be strong and independent women who could stand on their own feet, and I try to raise them that way. They were both interested in volleyball. I always supported their interest. My younger is still playing in a team and also studying at a good university. She is really hardworking, and even if she doesn't succeed in playing professional volleyball, she will definitely have a good job. My oldest daughter quit both sports and school when she got pregnant at the age of 18. When she first told us that she was pregnant, I was very upset and advised her to have an abortion because having a child at such a young age would disrupt her life. She didn't want to, and my wife supported her decision. To be honest, I was very insistent on her doing that at that time. But when I saw that she remained determined, I dropped the issue and supported her fully, even though I didn't want to. She got married quickly with the baby's father. Then she decided to stay at home and take care of her child, and her husband started to work. I never wanted my daughter to be financially dependent on her husband, but I never voiced it either. But of course, my daughter knows that I'm bothered by this. Yesterday, we were having dinner with my daughters and my wife. My wife and daughter started talking about being a mother. My wife told her that even though I wanted her to have an abortion, I love my grandson very much now. My daughter asked me if that was so, and I said of course I love him. I really love my grandson, but my daughter knew that I was bothered by her situation, so it didn't sound sincere at all. My daughter said I could give an honest answer. I told her that I really love my grandson, but that I was disappointed that she'd become a mother at an early age, had left school and her job, and was now dependent on a man. She didn't argue with me, but the rest of the night was a bit tense. At the end of the night, she went home, and my wife started a fight over what I said. I told her that she was the one who wanted an honest answer, but my wife is sure that I'm the jerk. My younger one agrees with me, but says I was rude to say it out loud. I mean, the bottom line here is the problem, I think, is that OP wants their vision of their daughter's life. And they're upset that their vision of what their daughter's life should be wasn't lived out by their daughter. The daughter clearly felt very assured of what they wanted, and every step of the way, OP was like, no, I don't want that to be her life. I think it's understandable why it's upsetting. Our next story is, am I the jerk for weaponizing my sister's poverty during a family dinner? Some quick background, I've always been ambitious and started a bakery pretty young. I was able to do it through a family loan, which I'm grateful for, and a lot of grit and insane hours. The dedication led me to miss out on a lot of things, and while I'm incredibly proud to have built something that's turned into a super popular spot in my neighborhood, I've definitely missed out on a few things. One of which is that I'm 35 and single/childless. Although I have no regrets, I do want to find love. This is a topic of frequent discussion during family dinners with my parents and sister. It's not an unwelcome discussion, and my parents don't nag. They just ask normal things like, how was that coffee date last week? Or, did you like so-and-so? And if things don't work out, they don't say anything much. Normally, it's not a sad discussion. But this week I was sharing a bigger than normal disappointment and a recent failed date. We'd gone out a few times and I thought it would turn into something, but our schedules were incompatible. After hearing this, my sister piped up and said she wasn't surprised because I had a negative and unfeminine aura that turns away men. My parents tried to shut her up, but she kept going on and on about how men would find my energy aggressive because I set too many boundaries. She ended with saying that I should try manifesting a positive love story, and that by going into relationships with negativity, I was manifesting failure. I was honestly so mad at this point that I just blurted out, well, maybe if you manifested a job, you wouldn't be fighting with Tom, her children's father, over child support payments. She has 2 kids with Tom, split 50-50 custody, and tries to live off of her child support payments by staying with my parents. Honestly, there's nothing wrong with that, except she always complains about not having nice things. I.e., she wanted a Chanel bag and was jealous her friend got one for her anniversary, and refuses to work. My dad offered her an admin job at his company, but she hated sitting for so long. She immediately started crying at the table, causing us to cut dinner short. My parents are trying not to take sides, but have recently asked me to apologize because my sister's been making social media posts about me weaponizing her poverty and being a bully. By the way, to call herself poor is honestly a slap in the face to people actually facing poverty. She lives in a gated community in my parents' home. She refuses to come to my mom's birthday party next week if I don't say sorry. I personally feel like she deserved it, but I can tell my mom's upset. By the way, the boundaries that my sisters say that resulted in me manifesting negativity are things like me turning down a 4th of July weekend because I own a bakery and it's a huge weekend for my business, requiring me to be all hands on deck popping out pies and pastries. Could OP have been a little bit more gentler in their handling of things here? Sure, but I'm not gonna lie, I don't think OP was wrong here. I mean, the way that she butted in here and just said that OP had a negative and unfeminine aura, it's just so uncalled for, and like they're talking here like there's some extreme love guru that knows everything. I think they invited it and it was more than fair game. But with that being said, that's all the time we have for today. Now, if you want to hear another absolutely crazy Am I the Jerk Here story, check out that video on the left. Or, if you missed my latest video, check out that video on the right. That said, I'll see you all next time with some more stories.